10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, just battling with my computer here. It just seems to be a theme that's going on for quite some time. Just battling with my computers. But anyways, we're here and we're having a good time. Not a long time, but a good time. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on this May the 8th, 2025. Live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio, terrestrial radio. We're also streaming on internet radio at cklu.ca. You just click on a Radio Player Canada app there and you can stream us. You can download it, take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. After which, if you want to watch the show, you can actually watch it live on facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. And later on demand on those two platforms, along with x.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow our pages and our channels, our social medias. It really does help to just expand the community. You know, when people go to them, they're like, oh, it only has 2 followers. Must not be anything really all that spectacular. Not that we only have 2 followers on any of the social medias, but Facebook seems to be the one where I think it's where we mainly put a lot of our efforts into at the beginning. And so that's where we have the bulk of our followers, and possibly the demographic for the show is also represented in the followers we have on Facebook. But make sure on YouTube to subscribe to the channel, and on x.com, formerly Twitter, to just go there and also follow the page on X. Instagram, we'd like to start doing some more things with Instagram. TikTok, I'm going to stay away from just for the nature of the platform itself. And unfortunately, there's a whole demographic there that won't be reached because of that. But at the same time, just have to take a stand at some point for some reason. And yeah, so that's that. We are going to cover quite a bit of local news compared to what we have normally covered on the show today. The deep dives have been going on about our election for some time. We've been really dedicating a lot of our show to the election and the pre-election, post-election, the visit with Donald Trump. We covered on the show yesterday. And anybody who is kind of on top of things wants to know about the good, bad, and the ugly about that meeting and whatever, have already kind of exhausted all of the social medias out there about it, I'm positive. And so I'm not going to really give too much more attention to that. But there's a lot of local news today that is very interesting. We will get to a clip from Doug Ford, our Premier of our province of Ontario. So yeah, so make sure to like, follow, subscribe the social medias, but mainly comment, because we'll do our best to get your comments read for those listening, up on the screen for those watching, as we usually do. And as usual, we're going to dive in with a little bit of weather. And after the weather, we'll be back with news headlines and your comments. All kinds of things to talk about today. It's going to be a great show, I promise, or your money back. We'll be back right after this. today's weather brought to you by Voyager Tire. -1 degree currently. Feels like -6. It is cloudy, apparently, in some parts of the region. I have sun where I am at the moment, and I just have a glitchy page here. Not sure what's going on with that. So here we go. So today, clearing this morning. The wind will be gusting up to 40. High of 12 today. Wind chill -9 this morning. So yeah, it's very cool. Tonight, clear. Low of +1. So it'll be another cool night tonight. Then Friday, it's going to be sunny. High of 16. Saturday, 40% chance of showers. High of 15. And then again on Sunday, same repeat of Friday. High of 16, sunny. And then high of 24 and sunny on Monday. Again, this is a forecast. This doesn't mean it's going to happen. Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud, a high of 27. High of 27. We're going to be starting to talk about with the humidex now. We talk about with the wind chill in the winter, how cold it gets. So it's -1, but with the wind chill, it's -15. We start talking the reverse in the summer, high of 27, but with the humidex, it's going to feel like +35. So anybody who's, from not around here, I tell them the dexterity of our weather, how cold it gets and how warm it gets in any given year, and they can't believe it. The range we have here goes from, with the wind chill, possibly sometimes -50 to, with the humidex, +45 or whatever at some points, So that's a wide range. But anyways, I digress. High of 27, mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday, 30% chance of showers, high of 28 on Wednesday. Look at your satellite as of 6 a.m. this morning. You see some of those clouds rolling out of the region, bringing in some of the sun. That's your weather brought to you by Voyager Tire. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. And welcome back, everyone. Thanks for being with us. Going to be a great show today. Thanks to you, or if you're from Texas, thanks to y'all. Good morning, Northern Hillbilly. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Nana. Blessings to all, heart emoji, exclamation point. Judy, good morning to you. Morning, Vin. Marianne, good morning, everyone from Barrie. Liked and shared, as usual. And good morning, Sudbury. That's Monique. Monique, good morning. Hazel, good morning. Prayer emoji. Always good. We need as many prayers as we can get these days. Belinda, good morning. Positive statement of the day. Be isolated. Be ignored. Be attacked. Be in doubt. Be frightened, but do not be silenced. Don't let our government steal humanity. Heart emoji. Now, a lot of people, too, listening to the show might say, oh, my goodness, they talk about the government all the time, how negative government is. This, that, and the other. Negative. Well, I mean, when you put your health in the hands of other people, it's, think about this. Who cares about your health more than you do? But we oftentimes give it over to other people. Who cares about our education more than other people, more than, we do. So, I mean, if you get people to do your papers all the time for you, you're never going to learn anything. And some people do that. They get through school just without doing work themselves. They either get other people to do it, or you can pay for people to do your work these days. Now with AI, it's a whole other thing. But if you really want to learn, you're going to do the work yourself. And when you give everything over to government, all of your sovereignty, and have them make every single decision for you, who cares about your life more than you? It really does. and we're not used to thinking like this in Canada, to be self-reliant, to make sure that you take care of you and yourself. We're always of the mindset that someone else is going to look after us for us. Like we look at the government like it's our mom or something, you know? And not so. Like the government isn't your mom and can't take the place of your mom, even though the government would like to think it's your mom. And with the more Marxist leaning leftist, you know, following the Communist Manifesto, the government is your parent. Like parents aren't your parent. And we see this in recent news, how the government wants to take the rights of parents away and be your parent. You know, like they want to be the parent of your small child and say that your small child can do certain things without the knowledge of the parents. And that's perfectly good. And it's wrong for a parent to want anything other than what the government is pushing forward in terms of strong ideologies for your children. And so, yeah, so all that to say, don't let the government steal our humanity was the end of Belinda's comment. And, you know, people are individuals first and foremost, but the government oftentimes wants to turn us into collectives, wants to turn us into groups and give us group identities. And then, you know, have you adopt that group identity that they give you, wear it like a badge of honor, and then go to war against other people who wear other badges with other group identities. And they're always putting people in boxes. That's an identity over there. You're this identity. And it fractures our societies. You know, united we stand, divided we fall. But what are we united in? You know, if we're united in something that's fabricated by them into little groups, then we, in fact, are divided. We're thinking we're united, but we're only united with a small group of people that we identify with. And then we're fractured and divided against someone else. Case in point, it looks like Canada was so united with this latest campaign, elbows up, blah, 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 against Donald Trump. But all those who don't go along with it, well, it divides. We weren't truly united. We're actually as divided as ever. As one side was basically saying we're all going to be united, but united under something they've created. And if you don't go along with that, you're not one of us. And then so it divides people. So it divides people. And really true unification has to come from a place of truth, not a place of some made up PR campaign in a boardroom. It has to be based in fundamental truth and principles. And then that truly unites people. Okay, enough of that. Belinda, you got me going on a rant again. So thank you so much for that. Okay. So we got Marianne saying, you and everyone, algorithms change always. It's part of censorship. Yeah. Well, that didn't have anything with me this morning of getting on a little late. It's my computer, my hard drive in my computer kind of thing that was causing things this morning. And good morning, Sudbury Patriots. It's Brian. Thanks for being on, Brian. Good morning. And Monique, grand rising to you as well. Heart emoji, exclamation points. Larry, good morning. Sheila, I believe you're in Quebec. Good morning to you. Smiley emoji. And Larry, you forgot fixed elections. So there's a good chunk of Canada who believes that as well. And we have to be open to those that question and do our best to avoid anything that leads to somebody questioning, because then that leads to people not having confidence in our system. And when you don't have confidence in a system, that's when democracy kind of falls apart. And I'm not even a fan of, you know, democracy per se, because people can be swayed to make wrong decisions. And then when the majority of people who are swayed to make wrong decisions all vote on something, it's not good even for them. So the idea of democracy, I like the idea of a republic based on foundational true principles, similar to what the United States was founded upon originally. It was a republic. Well, it should still be a republic, but they talk about it's a democracy. It's not a republic anymore. It's kind of deteriorated, let's say, from what it first started out as. People were very united around the principles, foundational ideas that formed that country. And if you go and read a lot of the documents of what they were forging at the beginning, it's hard to go against what they were saying in terms of what kind of country they were building. It's really hard. Like, it's if you say no, that's not right, or that's crap, or whatever. I just, you have to give your head a shake. So, and you also have to ask yourself, have you actually read a lot of those documents? You know, the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, those types of documents. Have you read them? And so, or have you just listened to your professor in university tell you that they're fundamentally racist, or they're wrong, or you know, they're rooted in colonialism and capitalism and all these bad words, right? If you read them yourself, you'll get a different perspective, right? And ask yourself if you agree with some of those principles. Okay, so Ford, yeah, a different shade of red. We'll listen to Doug Ford a little bit later. Doug Ford, so that was from Sheila. Larry says Doug Ford is the most crookedest, two-faced piece of crap Ontario beside Jagmeet Singh. Okay. Sorry for laughing. It's just, that is not my comment. I'm reading comments from our listeners and viewers, correct? So appreciate points of view that people have. Absolutely 100%. The cheesecake maker goes where the money is. Sold his soul. If we're still speaking of Doug Ford. And good morning, Estelle. Thanks for being on. Doug Ford just passed a bill that he doesn't need any permits or any permissions to destroy the forest near Toronto. They're going to start building in there and get big contractors. I seen the video the other day. Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit about that, how it pertains to our local news with mayoral powers. That's our first headline we're going to be covering in a few moments. So that's interesting. Marianne says, not surprising. Simcoe, he was a drug dealer in high school. I know people who he went to school with. True, you know what? You're not the first person to say that. I have some friends that are very far left, and we have some really great conversations, very respectful conversations. And they just hate anything that's conservative. So it's an easy target to go after Doug Ford's history of being a drug dealer. And if you look back in the past of many politicians and their rise through history, a lot of them have nefarious backgrounds where they got the money in order to support them to be politicians or to have the power that they did. Case in point, if you look at the Kennedy family, you know, the Kennedy family got their wealth from bootlegging, which one can argue that it's not really illegal because it's not illegal anymore. But at the time it was. And that's how they built up their fortunes, was through bootlegging, which at the time was illegal. And this goes on, like some people hold politicians up on these pedestals and it's anything but, you know. So I have heard the same thing. Whether or not I can confirm that, I don't have a first-hand report of it. But yeah, like you said, you know people who went with high school with him. He was a drug dealer. Now, did it go further than that? Did he become some drug kingpin later? We don't know. We just know we've seen his brother struggle with addictions, right, as the mayor of Toronto. Marianne, removing all the trees that give us oxygen. So sad. And that's Doug Ford with building in Toronto, getting rid of green space. Larry, yeah. And they're going to start building on that land. Okay, perfect. Not perfect that they're doing it, but Liette's here. Good morning, Liette from Collingwood. Hand clap emoji. And we are responsible for our own health. We'll get into that. A statement from Doug Ford as well, talking about the measles and the spread of that and what he suggests we do. Right? Disabled Kane. I'm just going to have to read a little bit ahead here, see what's going on. All right. Just have to say how moronic it is when some people say that wind chill and humidex are not true factors. They don't believe in them. Okay, yes. Well, they are true factors. You just have to go out a day when there's no wind and it's sunny and, the temperature is right around zero. You feel warm when there's no wind. It's like, wow, it's great. But there's a wind and you're like, I can't be out here anymore. Like, it's just a true thing. And if you've ever been in a dry climate compared to a humid climate, you'll definitely know that humidex is a factor. Larry says most Canadians can't even think of themselves. That's why government takes advantage of people. Can't think for themselves. That's true. Well, we need to think for ourselves for sure. We can't be given what to think to us, for us. So many comments coming in, but we're going to have to just kind of get on with the show as usual. Good morning, Diane. Thanks for joining us. And anyone else who will be joining after this, thanks for being on. Much appreciated. We'll get into more healthcare things here from a comment from Doug Ford as our deep dive today. But I just want to kind of dive into, I don't want to kind of dive in. That's one of my pet peeves with when people talk sometimes. They say, I want to kind of do this or it's kind of like that. No, it is that. I'm going to talk about headlines right now from our news aggregator, Sudbury.News. This is a story from CBC. Northern Ontario municipalities vow not to use strong mayoral powers given by province. Now that headline, it makes some people, including myself, maybe want to chuckle or laugh out loud. Northern Ontario municipalities vow not to use strong mayoral powers given by the province. We're talking about government here, right? And if we understand history, look at the emergency powers that our federal government just used recently, right? They were given the ability to use these strong emergency powers. They're only supposed to be used in time of war, but they went ahead and illegally used them in a time of not war, in a time of a protest, protesting their mandates on the country. And they were very strict, one of the strictest in the world. And many people's lives, their livelihoods were jeopardized. And so people had enough of it. They went there and our government used their powers that were only supposed to be given to them in times of war. But they used them for a protest in the capital city, Ottawa, right? So about 20 municipalities in the region were officially given so-called, quote, strong mayor, unquote, powers last week. But several of them say the policy undermines the democratic process and vow not to use them. That, I think, calls for an opening of the article and reading a little bit further into it. As you can see, all the mayors and guests here talking about this. So strong mayor powers were not an item on the agenda for the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities Conference this week, but it definitely came up in between sessions, according to Blind River Mayor Sally Hagman. It comes up over a coffee table or during an evening meal, she said. Well, of course it would. This is a game changer of a thing to give mayors these powers. All of us are in similar position, thanks to the province offering this, but we're good. On May 1st, the province expanded the strong mayor powers to 169 municipalities, about 20 of them in the Northeast. The Ford government says Expanded authority is meant to help deliver on provincial priorities such as building more homes, transit, and infrastructure. So in other words, it follows a more communistic order or structure than the democratic one we currently have set up, right? So let's say a mayor comes out and goes, hey, I want everyone to paint their face blue. And a couple cities go, yeah, you know what? It's a great idea. Let's talk about that and we'll discuss it in our meeting and see if our citizens want to paint their faces blue like it's your idea. And then, some cities go, we don't even want to talk about that. So they don't. And the cities that talk about it, they say, you know what? We're all going to vote on this. We're going to see what our constituents feel, the people on the ground. Do they want to paint their faces blue? You know what? Most of the people don't want to do that. But good idea. I mean, people going around with blue faces, makes everybody look similar no matter what. Maybe there's different colors of skin and it makes us all one color. I don't know what the reason would be to paint your face blue, but he's got a reason for it. Maybe he has the company that supplies the face paint and he's going to make some money off that. So he wants everyone to paint their faces blue. But with these strong mayoral powers coming out now, cities won't have the choice anymore because he comes right out and says it. The Ford government says expanded authority is meant to help deliver on provincial priorities. Paint your face blue, if that was a thing. Right? And good morning, Brian. Thanks for being on. And yes, we'll get into that, what you're talking about, in a few moments, as we're probably going to stick along with Doug Ford as the theme today, because it's local news and it's provincial news, the two different things we'll be talking about this morning. And good morning, Miles. Thanks for being on, along with Betty. We will be talking about measles this morning and Doug Ford's comment to do with that. So he's saying the reason to give mayors this expanded authority, all these, as CBC said, so-called mayor powers, and I don't know why they do that. They do that to lessen the actual impact of it. They are strong mayor powers. They're not so-called. They do that all the time to take your guard down of something. Maybe it's not 100% true. It's not really what it says it is, like so-called freedom convoy. It takes away the whole idea that there was a freedom convoy. It wasn't a so-called freedom convoy. It's almost like me saying, I kind of want to talk about the news. We're going to do this right now. It's not kinda. I'm doing it. I'm talking about the news. I'm not going to kind of talk about it. A lot of people use that in their vocabulary. And good morning from Kenora. Pat is in Kenora. Not used to the time change. Almost missed the show. Thought I was early, yeah. Well, it is. Holy cow, Kenora. Yeah, it's a little different time. And so good morning to you. Good morning, Claire. Thanks for being on. We're just talking about strong mayor powers given to all these mayors in northeastern Ontario. But he says the priorities aren't painting your face blue, like I was saying as an example. They're building more homes, transit, and infrastructure. Whatever. It's all going to be helpful. There's not going to be any nefarious things going on here. It's all going to be for your good, because we know we have all these crises going on. And Doug Ford, former high school drug dealer, we're not sure when he retired from that, supposed so-called high school drug dealer, according to some sources. Now our premier of our province, I might have said prime minister at some point, but he's our premier. He says, they're just for infrastructure, transit, building homes. That's why he's giving these mayors strong powers. The Ontario Premier Doug Ford speaks to reporters at Council of the Federation meetings in Halifax, July 15th, 2024, when he, in the year since so-called strong mayor powers, that so-called again, strong mayor powers were granted to the heads of council in a swath of Ontario municipalities. That's when he first gave it out to certain mayors. Strong mayors can unilaterally fire chief administrative officers and department heads, reorganize departments, propose municipal budgets, and veto amendments and bylaws, among other things. I love that, among other things. It would be great to see the whole list of what they're able to do. But several northeastern municipalities are joining the list of Ontario cities and towns rejecting the policy, with some of them passing motions asking to be removed from the mayoral powers list altogether. Now that is putting your money where your mouth is. So I think if you're saying you're never going to use it, that's the way to show people you're never going to use it, is to actually get your name removed from the list and get your town or city removed from the list. So that way someone who runs for mayor after you, it's not just your name, it's actually that city or that region will not have so-called, according to CBC, strong mayoral powers. So, the heading here, concerns over democracy and the role of our local council. So the mayor from Blind River goes on to say, you are as strong as your council, and for that reason, I won't be exercising my strong mayor powers. A Democratic vote of 7 people appears to work. She says it's the kind of authority that could sow division within the council chambers, and that councillors would walk depending on the circumstances, for sure. Because a councillor could say, what the heck am I here for? Why am I here? Why not just have a dictator mayor and they're just going to make all the decisions anyways, right? That's what it's going to. It's a China-like system. It's a communistic type system that slowly is coming into our country, slowly being infiltrated, slowly being turned into that type of governance, if you haven't noticed yet. All by design. And the head of council in Cobalt also worries about what this could mean for the democratic process. It's supposed to be one vote around the table for everybody, said Mayor Angela Adshade. Pronunciation, apologies given here. So you give one person the power to veto anything, that's going to discourage people from running for council because they're going to say, what the heck am I here for anyways? So she also said, concerned with potential lawsuits, having had a career in human resources, it's very easy to create a wrongful dismissal suit, which can cost a lot of money, she said. But if we're going down the China model, don't worry, because government won't be found accountable. You won't have to worry about lawsuits. That's the end goal, right? We don't have to worry about lawsuits for so many things now for people in high positions, correct? We see that all the time. We see huge companies getting away with all kinds of things. We see our government getting away with all kinds of things. Don't worry about it. They'll make sure you won't have to worry about lawsuits. The strong mayor powers do include an immunity clause. There you go, right? Case in point. But not convinced that it will be enough to keep cases out of the courtroom. Oh yeah, they'll make sure with the new governmental system that they're installing. One mayor voices support for policy. Cochrane mayor seems to like this idea. He understands the concerns being expressed by his peers, but he could see how the expanded authority could come in handy to break gridlocks at the council table. I prefer to look at it from the perspective of what happens if it's in the right hands, like the king is a virtuous king. A king who has all power, who's very benevolent. Then you can do all kinds of good things, right? But what happens if it's in the wrong hands? Any mayor would have to be very, very cautious on how they exercise this kind of authority. So that's where we're at, ladies and gents. That's where we're at with all this stuff. They are going to be giving mayors. No, they got them now. As of May 1st, your mayor is now King Mayor. Paul Lefebvre in Sudbury. He's the king of Sudbury. He has these powers where he can pretty much wave a magic wand and to just go over the heads of council. And, you know, it's mainly made for the province to have their initiatives kind of fast-tracked in municipalities. But what if the mayor wanted to do other things too, right? Got these powers. And what could happen with that, right? What could go wrong with the mayors being able to do anything they want, regardless of what the citizens say through their representation here through the councillors, right? So Doug Ford, speaking to reporters, talking about Alberta and his relationship with the Premier, Danielle Smith of Alberta, and the fact that Alberta more than likely is going to become the 51st state of the United States. It won't be Canada. It'll more than likely be Alberta. And what that would mean to Canada would bankrupt Canada. But he seems to feel he's got a good relationship with Danielle Smith, and they're going to be buddies. And then he goes on to talk about the measles outbreak. So, Doug Ford, take it away.
Talking about for a number of months, and that was our conversation for the most part.
Are you hopeful that you can diffuse the Alberta secession movement with this kind of talk? I mean, I don't know if there's any talk about Premier Smith's potential referendum.
Well, I just always say, united we stand, divided we fall, and that was my message today. And let's continue making sure that we unite the country, not divide the country. And I spoke pretty strongly in support of Alberta and Saskatchewan because they've been ignored for the last 10 years. They've been treated terribly, to be very frank. And I think the new Prime Minister Carney, understands that, and he's going to be out there having great conversations. And just that one move, bringing FMM out to Saskatchewan, that's a big move. So everyone congratulated him on how he performed. It didn't matter what political stripe we came from.
Were there any discussions?
So Doug Ford is thinking that things are going to work out through our fearless leader, Mark Carney. He's gonna unite the West. He's going to make a deal with them that's actually going to satisfy the citizens of Alberta. And he's not going to build a pipeline, that's for sure. It ain't coming out to the east. And that's pretty much going to be one of the deal breakers for Alberta. And he's already said through Bill C-69, they ain't going to do that. They're going to stick with it. They're going to keep the oil in the ground. So I don't really know what he's talking about. I don't really think this is going to go very well. So, but that's just my own opinion. I think if it were to take a miracle or some backroom deal, that happens, right? So something that I'm not aware of in terms of a plan that they have or whatever. But now switching gears, he goes on, the reporter asks him about the new measles outbreak and what does that mean? What are we going to do in Ontario? A lot of people are afraid.
It's like breaking down interprovincial trade barriers?
Yeah, we did. We actually had that discussion. He said by July the 1st, but I said, let's all the premiers, let's get together, at least sign all the MOUs. So,
Okay, sorry, he's going to be talking about that. He's finishing up the comments about Carney and the situation with the West and satisfying their needs.
Who's coming up in the batting cage? PEI, Saskatchewan. Hopefully, I just text Scott right now and said, hey, let's sign that deal. Even Danielle, we're texting back and forth, and she wants to sign an MOU too. So we do get along, by the way, just to let you know. We text each other.
Government's been under fire for not doing more to tackle this measles outbreak, which continues to grow, or for making doctor more and more readily available to the media. Are you worried about this measles outbreak, sir?
Well, let me tell you the facts, because there's always facts behind every story, and here are the facts. We have 150,000 units of vaccinations going right across the province, and we've put a $2 million ad promoting people to get their kids vaccinated. And here's the facts. There's certain communities in Ontario, for religious reasons, are not getting their kids vaccinated. I encourage anyone and everyone, you need to get your kids vaccinated, because if not, it just starts spreading. So we've been working with a chief medical officer of health and also local medical officers. They know what they're doing, but the problem is you can't force a community to get vaccinated, and the problem with that starts spreading around other communities. And so we're giving everything we have. They have 150,000 vaccines ready to roll. We just have to get those communities to get vaccinated, and for religious reasons they don't want to. That's a problem. You got to protect all of Ontario. You can't just ignore one community.
You don't think it should be mandatory?
It's a good point, but how do you force someone? Do you grab their kid and start jabbing them with a needle? It's a problem. I agree. But we're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this to make sure we have the vaccines, and we're spending $2 million on promoting getting your kids vaccinated. This is a no-brainer. Like, I don't know, I remember getting the measles shots.
Last question. From here, no fire.
So there you go. Few things that he said there, right? People are afraid. So what is Ontario doing for this? They're doing everything they can, millions of dollars to get all these solutions for people. But religious people are not going along with it. What? Are religious people the only people that have concerns about what could possibly be, injected into their bodies? Is it only religious people, really? For religious reasons? So that's one thing, and you'll see that. And he said, what are we going to do? Anything short of just going around and forcing people? That's coming. That's the idea. They just want you to take whatever they are giving you. And first of all, you're paying for it through your tax dollars, which I am just beside myself on. I didn't agree to all of that. And I just got one question for you. So why are you so afraid if you get it? Why is everyone so afraid? You get it, you're safe. You don't have anything to worry about anymore. So let's say you should be happy that anyone who decides not to get it for religious reasons, they're all going to get the measles and die anyways. If you don't decide to do it, then you're the one who pays the price. The one who got it has nothing to worry about. Really think about that, please. Really think about that. So you get it, you're safe. Why do you have to be afraid of the kid or the person who didn't get it? They're going to get measles, and good on you. Ha ha. You got the measles. You didn't get it. Right? That's what you can do. So many of us like doing stuff like that. You see it all the time on social media. But you can get it, and you can be safe, and you don't have to worry about it. Right? Enough said. Someone who doesn't want to get it, they're going to spread it amongst themselves. All these religious people that don't want to get it. Apparently, it's only religious people, according to Doug Ford. And, then they'll all be gone anyways. You'll be rid of all the religious people. Isn't that a great idea? So there's nothing wrong with the whole thing. There's nothing to be afraid of. Roll it out. All you people that are, you know everything there is to know about everything. You get it. You're safe. And you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about all these people spreading it. They'll spread it amongst each other, and they'll all die off, and you'll be able to say, see, told you so. Should have had it. So really, I don't understand what the big deal is, to tell you the truth. That's all the time we got for the show today. I hope you appreciate just a bit of the sense of humor I have, and it's all in humor. We'll be back same time, same place, God willing, on the same platforms tomorrow. And remember to stay aware. Like, share, and take care. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. We'll see you all tomorrow. Again, right here on the same platforms. So have a great one, everyone. Stay safe. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.